There was once upon a time when Pixar animation could do no wrong. They had a non-stop string of beloved hits, both critical hits, audience favorites, and box office successes. But sadly, those glory days have kind of faded away. Still, give them credit, they've got some original ideas, including a new movie which lands in theaters this weekend. Hey everybody, I'm Sean McBride, the movie guy, and let's talk today about the new Pixar movie called Hoppers.
The traditional methods to understand animals just weren't working. But we've done it, Mabel. We created a revolutionary technology that gives us unprecedented access to the animal world. We call it hoppers.
Huh? We put this into this.
Yes, this into this.
Mabel! Be careful!
In Hoppers, Piper Curda plays an environmental activist and a college student named Mabel. She's determined to fight her town mayor, played by John Hamm, when she learns that he plans to build a freeway over this tiny little pond that she loves to visit. Now the main story kicks into gear when she learns that her professor, played by Kathy Najimy, has developed robotic animals that can be piloted by humans who are hoping to get up close and personal with the animal world. If you think of a kid-friendly version of Avatar, but here on Earth and with cuddly animal creatures, well then you'll get the idea. Now disguised as a beaver, Mabel sets off to convince the animals to rebel against the mayor's freeway plans. And as you might guess, things do not go smoothly, but since this is a Pixar movie, you can tell that we'll have some fun adventures along the way, some lessons will be learned, and then everything will work out in the end. So Pixar movies are kind of known for their humor, their world building, and their emotional content. And I think this one does fairly well with a lot of those elements here. As far as the world building goes, we get to go into the world of the animals, and that's kind of interesting, and the filmmakers have some fun with this. For example, we find out that there's a king of the mammals, king of the insects, the amphibians, the fish, all the reptiles and everything like that. It's kind of a fun power dynamic between all the different animal creatures. That's fun, and it's also fun seeing all these creatures behaving like humans do when they're not being closely observed by humans, so like they do aerobics, because of course they do, why not? Now I did think that the humor on display in these moments is amusing, but it's seldom laugh out loud funny. Although there are some fun comic character moments. For example, I really enjoyed King George, who is Bobby Moynihan's character, the king of the mammals, kind of a laid-back beaver here. He's a lot of fun here. Still, I don't think it's genuinely funny, but the bold animation should keep the kids entertained while they're waiting for the next comic pratfall. And to be fair, there are some moments that did make me laugh out loud, like the ultimate fate of the rulers of the insect kingdom. I thought that was very funny. So there are some very funny moments here, but for the most part, it's amusing and feel good, but not really, really funny. Now, as for the emotional content here, I had a bit of a problem with that. And it's curious here because, so Mabel is an in-your-face environmental activist, and she is a young adult. She's in college. I wonder what would have happened had she been a younger girl, say an elementary school aged kid, because I might have forgiven some of her actions and then gone along on the ride with her, because she's a kid, and we all have those parental genes where we're willing to give kids the benefit of the doubt here. But as a grown-up, she's kind of in your face and kind of annoying, and we need to side with her in order to, be invested in what's going to happen between her and the animals and their ultimate fate. And the problem is, of course, that if you're not invested in Mabel's challenge in her quest, then you're not really going to be invested in this movie. And that quest is, of course, the idea that we have to work together to save the environment. And it's kind of interesting because I actually agree with that. But this one kind of struck me as being a bit preachy. Didn't really like the environmental message here, which is funny because I'm pro-environment here. I wonder, once again, if it had come out of the mouth of a younger character, I might have been more forgiving. And the bottom line here is that, well, this is a mid-tier Pixar movie. But a mid-tier Pixar movie is still better than a lot of the family entertainment we get these days. I think the animation is fun, the voice acting is great, there's enough humor, there's enough interesting ideas that it should keep the kids very excited. Moms and dads may not be as sold, but once again, I think it's a good night at the movies for the whole family. So I give Hoppers 2.5 stars out of 4. Hey, look, if you see this movie, I would definitely like to know if you agree with me that this film, this story would have been a little better had Mabel been younger. I think we're more forgiving for kids. And the fact that Mabel is a grown-up and should know better and does things that, I don't know if it would get her arrested, but she's doing things that are just in your face, annoying and rude. And I just had a hard time forgiving that. Maybe I'm just getting too old here. But let me know. Do you think this would have been better had Mabel been younger? I do. Anyway, let me know. Comment below. Be sure to subscribe to this channel so you get all of my reviews as soon as they drop. And of course, check out the podcast. It's called Two Movie Guys. Every week we talk about all the week's big new movies, and this week's big new movie is certainly Hoppers. So if you want a deeper dive into Hoppers, just listen to Two Movie Guys. You can find us wherever you get your podcasts. Okay, Hoppers is certainly the big movie of the week, but there are a couple of other options to check out, including probable Oscar winner Jessie Buckley playing the bride, as in the Bride of Frankenstein. She's playing the monster in Maggie Gyllenhaal's new movie called The Bride. We'll talk about that next. See you then. Bye.